Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Park Streamers Hangout. I am your host again tonight, Barry Place 28, and along with me is Theme Park Casual.
Hey kids.
Thank you so much for your patience while waiting. Because unfortunately Cordy is unable to join us tonight, so she will not be with us this evening, but obviously she's with us in spirit as always. So with that, let me hand it over to Theme Park Casual so he can tell you where to find him on the socials.
Hey everybody. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, and YouTube, all of them at Theme Park Casual, where we have news, views, live streams for the casual visitor from a former theme park commando.
All right, thanks. And of course, I'm Barry Place 28. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and now TikTok as Barry Place 28. I kind of gave up on the whole Twitch thing, so I'm not worrying about that right now. But if you haven't had a chance to find me on TikTok, please go over there and give me a follow, as I'm trying to get my followers up so I can try to do a live stream over there and give that a shot and see how that works. With that,
Yeah, I think you were breaking up a little bit, Bob.
Yes, sorry, we're here up, or if you we start having the jitters. My apologies. All right, so with that, we had a great time because me, Theme Park Casual, and Cordy, all three of us were at Knott Scary Farm for the opening night last Thursday, which was September 21st. We had a great time. It was a very, very fun evening. I know that Theme Park Casual was able to get there early and was at the front gate. And when I finally got there, I was able to join him at the front gate. They did open up the gate area around 6 p.m., but they didn't let people in until I think it was about 6:15 p.m. And when they did finally open it, man, it was a madhouse. Everyone started running to, the rope, including Theme Park Casual.
Yep.
It was great though. And then of course everyone was like, "Hey, I'm saving the spot for my friends over here by the rope." And then of course everyone was hanging on the rope. It was quite the moment. And then where we were standing, myself and Theme Park Casual, we actually were right there at the rope, and as you can see from our streams, to the left of us were several other streamers, people who I'm sure many of you follow the other streamers online, but also it was all the people who went to the buffet. They were getting ready to watch. Disappointment at all. The opening is always a lot of fun. We actually have some video to show you that we're going to go through it in a moment, but I think what's great is they really built the excitement for getting into the park, with Sarah Marshall as the witch, obviously, and then the conductor coming out and talking to everyone, and then the monsters coming after everyone, and it was on. So with that, what I'd like to do is throw it over to Theme Park Casual. He'll walk you through a little bit more detail here, and we have his video from last night that actually shows the witch and her intro that we want to go through with you, so you can see what it was like if you haven't had a chance to see our streams, or you haven't had a chance to go to Knott Scary Farm yet.
Okay, so are you going to pull it up right now, or?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and
basically, it's crazy fun. I love getting there for the opening ceremonies. It's the rope drop for Scary Farm, and it's always just, there's something so cool about the monsters walking out of the fog. And on opening night, you've got all this, all the big streamers there. You've got lots of coverage happening, and people are just massively hyped for it. I did a member stream leading up to the live stream, and we were having fun with that, just kind of hanging out. And, I was showing that, we had Mondo from Five Fires, just a few people, behind us. And then we were pointing out some of the other streamers that were on the media side over on the other side over there. And then I don't know who it was. I don't know if one of the team members or someone, but they let us know that the ceremony was going to start up behind us, because when you're at the front of the rope, you can see on the video here, the witch is up on the roof over here, you know, above the entry to Ghost Rider, above the geode shop. So when you're at the front at the actual rope, you're actually past that. So this is all happening behind you. Mm-hmm. So we were all focused on, you know, the ghost town streets, looking right up Main Street. And next thing you know, on opening night, the fireworks go off, and that's when the witch started her spiel. So if you want to go ahead and start it.
Sure.
Fools! Infidels! Did you think I would forgive you after 50 years? They thought they could contain my wicked ways. Today, I shall cast a new curse for all to pay. Cette curse potential faire croire tout protestant. 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 Here to the
I think it's breaking up just a little bit. So she goes through her spiel, she casts a spell, and then basically, you know, does another spell, says for another 50 years kind of thing, that, you know, she's cursing the whole place again, you know, so that the curse remains over Ghost Town. And then right after that, we switch over, and that's when you've got the monsters all walking out of the fog. And then the conductor comes out and he does his little intro. And then from there, it's just nuts and mayhem of everybody charging into Ghost Town, and then all the monsters charging in through the crowds, starting to scare people and do their thing.
Creatures from the darkness.
And so I couldn't see it. And this night I couldn't see it because I was so far back. So on opening night, I had front row right at the rope. So we were able to see the monsters coming right at us.
To this curse, yes! Death awaits all.
I am your guide through the fog. I am the conductor. My lantern lights the way. It is the key to opening portals.
Do not scare me far, 50.
So that's the gist of the opening ceremony. And like I said, if you guys get a chance, I always recommend checking out the opening ceremonies. It takes probably at least 2 hours of waiting if you want rope drop, you know, right at the front of the rope. But there's something so cool about watching the monsters coming out of the fog. And on opening night, the hype was so gigantic. I mean, people, as soon as the first burst of fog started happening, people were cheering and starting to hoot and holler already. So
Yeah, I thought it was pretty exciting too. I mean, just seeing the rush of the monsters coming out of the fog and then, right to us. And then it felt really fun and great to go into the fog, and see what, was, on the other side and go to the mazes. And it really was a great way to start it. I know that we waited there for quite a long time. I mean, Theme Park Casual was at the gate about almost an hour before they opened it. And then,
I was outside before security. We were standing out there from about 4 p.m. So it was about a total of 3 hours of waiting to get that front row.
And when I joined Theme Park Casual, it was about 5:50 p.m. at the front gate. And then once we got in and waited at the rope, we had a good 45 minutes to wait.
Yeah.
One person even asked, one of the employees, there's no place for you to go or to sit. So once you're in that area, it's your shoulder to shoulder waiting, and your legs do get tired after a while. So
yeah,
I can imagine how your legs are feeling Theme Park Casual, because mine were starting to hurt quite a bit. By the time they let us in, I was like, yes, I get to walk.
Yeah, and I'm seeing people chatting from Cordy's channel. Cordy had something come up, so she had to cancel for tonight. So you guys are more than welcome to kind of hang out on her stream, or you could come over to our streams. But yeah, Cordy won't be able to be with us tonight, but we'll hopefully be able to do a wrap up and get her thoughts and comments. I believe it was her very first time at Scary Farm, so I was kind of curious to see what she thought about it. So hopefully we'll be able to talk with her soon and get her thoughts.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do that, next time. But yeah,
you're breaking up again, Bob. So I think we're going to shift. I was going to say. So once we go in, I mean, obviously there's all the tons of fog and everything, and you got your monsters chasing people and scaring people. But the first thing we did, we beelined it right over to one of the new mazes, which was Cinema Slasher, and we got in there pretty darn quick. So that was actually one of the things. It's when you go to Scary Farm, you should kind of have a plan of attack for the first, I'd say first 2 or 3 things that you want to do, and you could probably knock those out decently quick. Some of the mazes fill up very fast. And I believe this year, Chilling Chambers is getting filled pretty quick, and Room 13. So far, the days that I've gone, Cinema Slasher, I don't know if it's that it moves people fast enough or what, but the lines have not been bad for Cinema Slasher for some reason. And from what I'm hearing, Cinema Slasher is probably most people's favorite new maze right now.
Well, definitely mine. It does seem to get packed in the beginning, and then it seems to move really smooth. Even the end of the night on the 31st, or sorry, the 21st, me and we were with Andrew Disney and his girlfriend Rand. Thank you to them for being great hosts to us that night. We really appreciate it. We went back and to go through the maze, and literally they had taken all the ropes all the way down from the end of Boardwalk Barbecue, and I think there's only like maybe 4 ropes that you had to walk through to get to the front, and really it was a walk on. It was pretty great. But I think the great thing about Cinema Slasher is that I wasn't sure what to expect, but when you walk in, you see movie posters from all the different Cinema Slasher films that they quote unquote made, and you hear the song "Let's All Go to the Lobby," and then it kind of mutates into weird.
Your voice got all robotic right there, and right when you were saying that it morphs, so it morphed right there.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. But really... this is one of the things that I like about Knott's is they've got their own homegrown IP. They don't use the the big names like Chucky or Exorcist or things like that. They don't necessarily use those kind of things, and they've got their own stories that they've created and made into mazes. And scare zones and all of this. And I think that's part of what I like Scary Farm. What I like about Scary Farm more than I'd say, I've never been to HHN, but to me, it's, they seem like two different things. And part of what I like about Scary Farm is that homegrown IP. We always talk about, don't use, the movie IPs, with Disney and the rides and everything, do something original. Well, that's what Knott's does with their Halloween Haunt. It's all original IP that they've created for the haunt and all the lore that goes behind it. And as we continue to talk, we'll see how even with the Goring 20s, they've kind of started to add to the lore of that scare zone. But Cinema Slasher, what I love about this one is, like you were saying, you go into the lobby and then you're in a movie theater and you see the movie screen all cut up and slashed, and that's where you enter in and you go into the movies.
One of the things I really like about Cinema Slasher as well is that when you walk into that first movie theater and there's a guy going, "Hey, sit down, I can't see."
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of cool because, like, you turn around, like, there's no one behind you. But it really, the guy is so loud that it kind of freaks you out, and you're like, okay, this is weird. Now I'm walking through a movie screen and going into the movie, and even though it's very reminiscent of the Michael Myers films of Halloween and Friday the 13th with Cinema Slasher, like you said, it's their own twists and their own take on it, and I think they did a great job of putting you into those films. And you can tell too, because as you go through each of the films, it'll be like part 2, Camp Gonna Get You,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, this is really cheesy. And then you see a bear and you're like, what the heck? I thought we were going to see a monster when we heard that growling. And
yeah. And that's what's cool is you go from one installment from the franchise to the next by walking. You go from, you go into the movie screen and you're in the movie. You go through some of the scenes and set pieces from that movie. And then next thing you know, you're in another movie theater and you go into the next movie. So it transitions you really well. It's a great story device that they use to get you to go to understand what's happening. So you go into another movie theater, go through another screen they're actually playing a movie on the screen that's all cut up. And then you go through that and you're in the next story.
Right. And I like how it got more ridiculous as you went along. And that's exactly what happens when you see these, cinema films, these horror films. They just get more crazy and ridiculous and whatnot. So that's what I really liked. I think one of the neat things, though, in that was that when you got towards the end, when you saw the big chainsaw. So there's a room where you're walking through and it literally has lasers on the pathway so that you can see where you need to go. But it's pitch black and dark in there. And then a strobe light will come on and you'll see this big, huge chainsaw with the Cinema Slasher.
Yeah. Yeah. And that again, you can tell that they really spent some time and money on this one just because of the set pieces. In the Camp Gonna Get You section, there's a whole, side of a boat that you're walking past and, the dock and all the rooms and all of that stuff. And then you've got that one with the giant chainsaw. That's just, it's a massive chainsaw. The thing is probably like a good, 5 or 6 feet, 6 feet long. And then, the whole room, you're hearing the chainsaw, you're seeing, little snippets of it just from the little bit of light that they give you. And then the strobe light goes off and you see, it's like, dun, 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 all the craziness of it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, right after you see that big, huge chainsaw, you end up going to another movie theater area where you see this big, huge monster with, it looks like I don't know, looks like it's part of the movie projector that's been turned into a monster or something.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
Outlandish and crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's perfectly done for that style of movie.
Real quick. Sorry about that. Yeah, so it's just sorry, my phone I forgot to put it on silent, so I had to go grab it real quick.
So that was our first maze, and it's kind of when you start off with such a bang like that one, it's kind of, you're hyped up for the rest of the night. So everything has to live up to that one. And things got close. There were some really fun spots during the night, but I think Cinema Slasher was the best maze of the night.
I would agree. So the next new one that we got to experience was Room 13. So this one is where you go to the Blind Tiger, and you interrupt the Prohibition era, revelry of Memory Lane. And it turns out that there's this elixir called the Devil's Elixir that everyone is drinking, and it's turning them into these weird, devilish, zombie-like people. And
You're breaking up again, Bob.
No.
So the premise of this one is that, it's Prohibition era, and there's this elixir that's turning everybody into these, zombies or whatever that become murderous people. And so you're traveling through, you get to go through the Blind Tiger, which is, something that I think is one of the coolest things. And again, this maze came about because the Goring 20 scare zone that they created a couple years back it just became a hit. And it is a fun zone for the scare zone because instead of just walking by you to scare you, you can interact with them. They can talk to you. You can talk to them. You can kind of play along with the whole premise of what's happening in the streets there. And I've noticed a lot of people are really kind of getting into that. And if you go to my stream from last night, you can see that they actually start having the crowds dancing and moving around and doing all kinds of stuff along with the scare actors. And it's really, really fun. But because this area was such a hit, they decided, let's give it its own maze. Let's add to the lore. So they kind of start to explain why the scare zone is there now. So that's the Devil's Elixir has turned everybody into these, murderous zombies or whatever. And so you're taken through the story of, what happened at the Blind Tiger and at this hotel.
Thank you for filling in for me.
Yeah.
So not only was I looking forward to this because it would have this whole new story about Room 13 and, obviously with, the Blind Tiger, but now they have this drink that they're serving at Knott Scary Farm called the Devil's Elixir that was tying into this maze. So the whole thing for me was kind of like, ooh, this is kind of cool. Unfortunately, the drink that they serve there does not glow green like that. But I still like that whole, premise. But as we start going through this maze, I was a little disappointed because while it had a great premise, as you're walking through this hotel, you're kind of seeing the same things over.
You're breaking up a little bit again, Bob. So me and Bob had talked about this, and yeah, it's exactly like you say. You go through the Blind Tiger, the speakeasy at first, and then you're in a kind of a hotel ballroom area, and then it kind of shifts to being in the rooms of the hotel. And I think that's where it kind of just becomes, like Bob was saying, a little bit repetitive, and it doesn't feel like you're seeing a whole lot of really interesting set pieces at that point. It seems like all the more interesting set pieces were at the beginning. And then we do get one really cool set piece was when it makes you feel like you're outdoors on scaffolding of a building that's being, like painted or something like that. And they did a really good job with that. That was a really cool effect. But for the most part, it was a little bit of a letdown, like Bob was saying, that I was hoping for a lot of Art Deco and, real glitz and glamour kind of mixed in with the monsters and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Although I will say it was kind of cool at the very end where you see, the reason why everyone's, turning into the
yeah, Yeah, where you see the big giant devil's elixir demon head or whatever it is that's, creating the devil's elixir. But like you said, it's kind of a miss that the actual drink devil's elixir isn't a green glowing type of drink. It's like, should the cup have been green? Should the mix, is the drink itself green? I didn't even see that. Is the drink itself a
no,
green?
It doesn't look real green
color. So it's like, that's to me a miss. And then knowing how popular the Goring 20s is, they should have had a really cool bottle that you could take home of devil's elixir. Maybe not alcoholic, but they could have made, the non-alcoholic version and made it, like a soda type of thing, and have it devil's elixir, and you'd have a really cool bottle, like a green bottle with the label of devil's elixir. It's like those are the kind of things that the big fans really go for. So, and I've had key lime soda, so they can make green soda. I think if any of you guys remember Surge, that was a really kind of odd color soda as well.
It was. And then the last new maze, the Chilling Chambers, which is really the tribute maze to Knott's Scary Farm for the 50th year. Do you want to go ahead and talk about that?
So this one, it's basically kind of a tribute maze. So if you've been a fan of Scary Farm for many years, and all the history of all the different mazes, this is going to be one that you're going to enjoy. Basically, it takes off on the original 10 Chilling Chambers maze from the opening of Scary Farm. And as you go through the maze, you're introduced to different scenes from mazes of the past. So you'll have stuff from Doll Factory, and I think there was some from, I can't remember the name, but it was the Industrial Evil. That was the one. So there was those, those ones. So if you recognize some of those, you'll kind of have the throwback, and they've got all kinds of stuff. For me, it seemed like it was a little bit too rapid fire on the different themes and scenes and everything like that. It was a little too cluttered and jumbled, and it never really found its footing for me. But I'm one who likes a good theme and carry it through all the way. So this one felt like it was a little too random for me.
Yeah, and I know that they had it's funny. It was like a keyhole to a door that you walk through to go to each section, and that way you knew you were going into a new section, which was fine by me. It was cool that they did that, but it felt like some things were too long. Like the asylum, it seemed like they had room after room after room of the asylum, and then all of a sudden you're in this quick doll room.
Yeah, and you only got you got to walk through a scene and a half maybe of that, Are you there, Bob? So for me, and then there were a couple of spots. I don't know if you guys have seen online some of the spots with the elephant butts. That was just...
Oh, I hate that part.
A little weird and whatever, but
So my brother was telling me, he went down Friday night and he was like, I never want to go through Chilling Chambers again because that one area. So you go through this area where there's two elephant bottoms that are just, farting and pooping out farts, I guess. And the thing is that smell gets on your body and it lingers with you until the end of the maze. And it's funny because my brother said, hey, I could smell it from the time I entered the maze, and it ruined the maze for me because I smelled it throughout the whole entire maze, and it was terrible. But it's one of the sections, if you watch my live stream from last Thursday night, I believe after Theme Park Casual had taken off, it was just me, Andrew Disney, and Maria, and the three of us were going through that maze again. And when it got to the time to go where those elephants were, I literally did not
Oh, you're breaking up, Bob.
So, yeah, I didn't go in there because I didn't want to have to deal with the elephant farts.
Yeah, it was just really weird. Really weird. If you're trying to gross people out, you did a great job. Way to go, Knotts.
Yeah, but as a tribute maze, I was just disappointed because I expected a little bit more. It had a great opening, had a nice ending, but the middle section was just okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I would have thought that they would have used some other mazes from the past that were more popular.
Yeah.
And again, maybe they didn't have stuff from those mazes. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say why they chose the ones that they did, but it just, like I said, it felt too jumbled and rapid fire, and I don't know. That's not my style. I suppose maybe if I had any sort of affinity for some of the mazes, I would have been like, oh, check it out, we're at this one, and oh, remember that one, but there wasn't a whole lot there for me, like in that sense. Although I did like the one part with Industrial Evil. I remember that they did the effect where you only see like the top half of the person.
Yes, that was cool.
And so that kind of thing was kind of cool to see again. But other than that, like I said, if you don't have much of an affinity for the mazes, it's going to be, this would be the maze that I'd say, if it's got a long line, you can skip it.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how I felt about Room 13 too. Well, at least we can agree Cinema Slasher was the best new maze.
Yeah, and that one I think Room 13 I think they need to massage it a little bit, and they can maybe kind of make it into something a little bit better, but I think it just needs to be kind of slightly reworked in some spots.
I agree. If they were to go back, and maybe next year if they do, they go back and rework it, I think it could be a much better maze.
Yeah.
And then obviously some of the other mazes, again, they had Bloodline 1980 or 1842. A lot of people, I heard a lot of
cut out again, Bob.
It just wasn't this. I heard a lot of comments from people saying it just wasn't the same without the guns for Bloodline.
Yeah, it's really weird because last year when I did it with the guns, it was kind of like, I don't know if the guns are necessary. It's kind of, not sure if I'm even doing anything. It's like, are the guns actually doing something, or are we just, doing this to shoot and whatever? Because I don't even know if were they keeping a score of anything? I don't know. So some of the scenes, it was like they'd stop you and you'd shoot at stuff and then you'd move on. So it's like, well, do I really need to shoot, or could you have just done the scene and whatever? So it was kind of like weird. But now this year without the guns, I was kind of like, well, some of these scenes are missing something now. It was like you kind of breeze through certain spots and you're like, well, what the heck was that for? Why'd you bother with that? So yeah, it's kind of it's like, if you're going to design something that you based it off of the, the shoot 'em aspect, like, so it's a shooter maze. It needs to stay a shooter maze because that's how you designed it. And by just, all they did was remove the guns, it kind of, made a lot of spots in the maze just kind of weird dead spots. And so I don't know, that one, I think it's time that one needs to either be reworked again or something, because both ways it was kind of like, this is weird.
Yeah, I hear you. The Grimoire, I mean, that's always a good one. I like it. It's not one of my favorite mazes, but it's good. I enjoyed it. A lot of connection issues for our stream though going into it, or at least for me. But once we got in, it wasn't too bad. But I mean, it's always a fun one because you go through all these different timelines to see how these creatures came to be and where everything how this book made everything come to life.
Now,
So
see, this one,
I
think it did a good job of doing multiple styles and locales and whatever, but it gave them time to breathe a little bit. You kind of understood what was going on. It wasn't as random as Chilling Chambers. And I think that's part of what Chilling Chambers is. Like, the connection really isn't there from section to section, whereas Grimoire, you kind of understand you're following the path of this book through the ages. And, so it kind of helps it along a little bit.
Right. Then Mesmer, which is, I know a lot of people like Mesmer. It's a good one. I could kind of, see this one going away maybe in the next year or so. It's got some interesting, things to see. But again,
that's what I was going to say. I like Mesmer for the optical illusion stuff.
Yes.
All of the fun effects that they do.
Yes, that's what's great about that maze. But otherwise, it's just okay. I thought what was interesting is before we walked into that, they were saying, "Oh, no photography or anything." It's like, what? What are you talking about?
Who was saying that?
That the guy in the beginning before he let us in, he mentioned, the rules. Does everybody know the rules? And then he was the only one all night that said, "Oh, no photography inside or anything." And we're like, really? Come on. I mean,
I don't think anybody ever said that, though. It's like it was never mentioned anywhere. So that seems really odd. But I had that happen one time at Birdcage Theater when I went to go on a live stream, go into one of the shows. The lady said, "Sorry, you can't film in there." And I was like, other people have already live streamed this same show. And then I saw people after the fact live stream the same show. So it was like, you just get the team members that are just, I don't know, trying to throw their weight around, don't know the full rules, think that something's not allowed when it really is. I don't know.
Yeah, but the funny thing was, I went into Mesmer. I still, even though you said it, I just kept, recording and went on, and no one ever said anything else.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like, so what was the point?
I don't know. It's like the Disneyland cast members when it comes to Guardians or Star Tours.
Yeah, exactly.
They're so inconsistent.
Yeah. Valantes says, the special CM at every theme park.
Yep. That is true. Hey, Valantes, good to see you. So let's see. Then we had Origins, Curse of Calico, which is always a classic. This one, so one of the things that I thought was interesting, my brother mentioned this to me the other night when he went there to Not Scary Farm, and I noticed it obviously with you.
Oh, you're breaking up. I didn't get your question.
Sorry. The maze is breaking down. What's up with that?
The maze is breaking down?
Well, remember they were shut down. They weren't letting people in.
Yeah.
Things weren't working inside the mazes. Like the night we got there, Chilling Chambers was delayed 30 minutes before it even opened. Origins, Curse of Calico, that was shut down for a while.
Yeah.
Not sure why. I mean, maybe they're having some technical issues inside with the fog or lighting effects, or
I mean, who knows what? Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see if maybe somebody can find out what the issue was with that. But yeah, it seems kind of odd, But they've got a lot of things going on in the mazes, so yeah, if lights aren't going on, it can get very dangerous. So
right,
those kind of things. If a light goes out, they may have to shut down for a little while until they can get it repaired, because those mazes, I mean, you guys can see on the live streams, it's dark in there. So you can imagine even if just one light goes out, you've got an area that is just pitch black at that point. So it could have been as simple as that some light bulbs or whatever, something short circuited and went out.
Did I totally cut you off?
No, you're breaking up. I was trying to see.
Sorry. Keep going.
Okay. No, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was trying to make a joke. I was trying to say, "Oh my God, we had a streamer that fell down inside Theme Park Casual. We got to shut the maze down."
Yeah. Wouldn't doubt it. Okay,
well, let's talk about it's my favorite maze, and that's the Depths. I love this maze. I'm so sad that this is the final year for the Depths. Yeah. I really hope they do another ocean one in the future, because they did a great job with this, and it just always felt great every year going through this, night watch mining crew that found these mythical creatures in the depths and having to deal with them, and it's just, to me, a lot of fun.
Yeah, this one, it was one of the highlights for me last year. It had some of the best effects and some of the coolest set pieces. I mean, it's got a giant kraken in it, for one, animatronic kraken going through it, and then the lasers where it looks like you're wading through water. Just so cool. It's, and then like there's the one scene where you're like on the boat and you can hear like all the creaking and everything, and they've got the whole room like tilted, so you're like walking at an angle, and it's just so well done. It's a fantastic maze. And yeah, like you said, I'm disappointed that it's leaving, but hopefully they do another nautical theme or ocean theme of some sort.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of the depths, I did do separate from my live stream an actual whole walkthrough of the depths. So I kind of want to show it to you guys so you can see what it's like, because this is the final year. So once it goes, it's gone. It's not going to be coming back. And if you're not going to Knott's Scary Farm, obviously we'd like to show you what it looks like. So this is a full walkthrough that we're going to go through.
Hopefully it doesn't break up, because right now you're a little stalled out, Bob.
Andrew Disney's like, go ahead of me.
You need to get out now.
It's like a giant kraken skull that you're going through there or something. Yeah, we're getting kind of a bit of lag, Bob. So you guys can see this room with the lasers. This is the part that I just thought was one of the most amazing effects. It really feels like you're like wading through the water in there. And then they've got people that like duck down below the level of the lasers and then pop up out to scare you. The chiropractor room. Yeah, all the spines. And of course you have to have evil mermaids. And this is the Kraken right here. And the Kraken is just impressive. The tentacles move around. His eyes are like moving and everything and looking around. It's just such a fantastic animatronic and great set piece. The scale of it is amazing.
Mm.
So we got to
All
see
right.
some of it, Bob.
Sorry about that's real quick.
Okay, so I guess it's me for the moment here. I think Barry Place is trying to see if he can get his connection to stabilize
Sorry,
a
I
little
was
bit.
trying something else to see if I could stabilize my connection a bit. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
Let's hope this helps. Whatever I did. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with our technical issues tonight. Sorry we're having some of those. So, but thank you for hanging in there. But yeah, so I love that. One of the things I love the most, I love sharks. So seeing that big, huge shark at the end, even though I know there's a lot of strobe lights, it was hard to see. I think it's so cool because you literally have to walk by it and it's like coming at you, and you really don't have but inches from its mouth. So it's pretty scary.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's always kind of creepy, especially if you don't know that it's going to be coming, because they sometimes, the lights are off and then the like strobe light, and that's when the big head comes out and moves in and everything. So yeah, and you don't have much room to get away from it. So
no. And then of course the last couple two. This is probably everyone's least favorite maze, and for good reason. It hasn't aged well.
Yeah,
it's just an okay maze. So a lot of people are glad to see it going.
Yeah, exactly. That one, I think, it's even as someone who doesn't go to the haunts all that much, I'm not into going around to all the different ones. That one I was kind of like, what is this? So and I get what they were trying. It's like you want to try something different, and the typical scares of the slasher movies and the ghost town stuff. You want to well, let's try something a little different. Yeah, this one they tried.
I mean, it's cool seeing the robots and everything. I mean, obviously they tried mashing a few old movies together, but I wanted to see like more quote unquote aliens, and you don't really see aliens that much.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that would have helped it.
And of course, the last Waxworks, it's
Waxworks. I don't like it. There's just something about it. It's got a weird premise for me, so I just kind of like it's just not my thing. And Brian Sevilla says Bloodline was crappy this year. We kind of talked about it, how with Bloodline it kind of didn't work with the guns, and when they took out the guns it still didn't work. So I think they need to rework the entire premise of it, or staging and everything. So, and
Brian, thank you for hanging out with us at Cinema Slasher. It was great spending some time with you, even though we lost track of you after that. But thank you so much for taking the time to spend time with us, and it was great meeting you again. So that was it for the mazes. Now let's talk about the scare zones, because the scare zones to me, and we got to go, let's see. I got to go back down. Sorry. Let's see here. Oh, got to go back. So there's 5 sinister scare zones they had. Obviously, The Gauntlet was the first one, and this was over by Can't Snoopy.
Yeah.
The one thing I felt is that I like the costumes. The costumes are really, really cool, but
Oh, you're
and
breaking
some of
up,
them
Bob.
seem really spooky. Ay. I'm sorry. But as I was saying, some of them seem spooky, some did not. I expected more fog in the scare zones, and that's the topic that Casual and I were talking about, is that some of these areas, they're scare zones, but they didn't seem very scary. They
Yeah.
seemed just like, oh, we're here to scare you or to make you laugh, and that was it. I expected the Gauntlet to be a little scarier.
Yeah, I don't understand why they didn't have very much fog. On Sunday, it seemed like last night, it seemed like there was a little bit more fog than on Thursday, but still not enough. It was like there was just a little bit just to give the lights a little bit of effect, but it wasn't there to disorient you or hide anything, to mask anybody coming up near you. So they need to figure that out, because and there's no set pieces that I can think of in there that actually pertain to the medieval style, other than they have the one throne out on the stage. So at the Hollow, they had the really cool like pumpkin looking thing, or the wooden kind of pyramid cone shape jack-o'-lantern things that were lit and would have fog coming out of them or whatever. This one, there was like nothing. I don't recall seeing any set pieces to give you that medieval or whatever feel they're going for, because it's like all you've got is some scare actors, no fog, and that's it.
Yep. So a little disappointing there, but
Yeah.
Ghost Town Streets, now obviously that's amazing.
Yeah.
I had no issues or problems with Ghost Town. But Danny, you want to talk about Ghost Town for a little bit?
Well, Ghost Town, last night I decided that I would kind of take everybody through the scare zones, because I missed a couple of the scare zones. I didn't even go through Carnival or Forsaken Lake on opening night. So I wanted to check those out, and I wanted to let everybody see, all the different scare zones, and see if we could kind of rate them, and kind of talk about what was good, what was bad about them. And Ghost Town, there's just something about it. I don't think anywhere can have a scare zone as good as Ghost Town. It is so freaking awesome to be walking through Ghost Town. And somebody mentioned it, that having it be in Ghost Town and the history of Ghost Town itself lends to the spookiness of the whole thing. And I was like, that's exactly it. There's a history there that you're not going to find anywhere else. And so it kind of makes the spookiness a little more tangible, if you will. So,
well, what I like about it is that it's spooky, tons of fog. You got the half human, half animal monsters that are prowling the streets. It's spooky and fun. And even though it's mostly spooky, there was a moment last night on your live stream that it cracked me up. And
you're breaking up. I don't know why.
It just kind of cracked.
We didn't catch that, Bob. What were you saying?
I was saying,
oh, he's still breaking up.
Try this again. So last night you were talking to one of the actors and you called him a hawk. And he says, "No, I'm an eagle."
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was funny. He was so disappointed too. I was like,
I know he was.
He heard me say like, "Oh, look, he's a hawk," and he like stopped, and you could kind of see him go like that, and then he's all, "I'm an eagle." I was funny. I'm sorry. How was I supposed to know? I mean, it's a beak, and he was kind of brown. It looked like a hawk more than an eagle.
But it was funny, but at the same time, it was still a scary moment, but then it was really funny at the same time. So I liked it. I think the actors. Oh, by the way, before I forget, Mermaid Plans, who's in the chat tonight, she has a friend who's playing the bride in Ghost Town Streets, and let me tell you, that bride is spot on. She does a great job. So
Yeah,
kudos to your friend.
she's a lot of people's favorite.
And mentioned on my live stream, I was like, "Hey, I know your friend Mermaid Plans," and she never broke character. She just,
Yep.
kept playing it, and it was great. And she did a wonderful job. So seeing those scare actors do that, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and Trish was saying that she felt that some of the scare actors had a little less enthusiasm last night versus opening night.
Mm,
I think it's kind of hit and miss. I think I was mentioning on my stream that in some of the scare zones, if they don't have a lot of people coming through, a lot of guests coming through, it makes it very difficult for them. And you got to figure the sliders, they do what they can, but they're still, I mean, it takes a lot of energy to keep doing that all night long. So I'm sure they pace themselves. They're like, you know what, I don't want to be, already in pain by 8:30 and you still have the whole night to go.
exactly.
So it could be something along those lines, but I think they go in spurts, and sometimes you'll catch, and a lot of times it depends on the guest. If they're walking around and they're doing their thing and nobody's screaming and nobody's running away from them, they're kind of like, all right, well, maybe we'll just hang back a minute and try to figure out a different type of scare. So it's
Right.
kind of tough for the scare actors when it's not a really crowded night.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So the Goring 20s. Now, there was no real fog there, but
Yeah.
I really liked it, even though it wasn't scary. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was mentioning, and I did a lot last night. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was well, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but apparently I'm just cutting up all over the place tonight. I liked it when the band came out and they were playing and the actors are dancing. They were dancing with some of the, people who were there, the guests. They were just having a good time, and yet they were still trying to scare. What I think was funny is they also were just trying to have fun. I had a paper boy come up to me and say, "Hey, you got any change? You got any cents?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "You don't have 10 cents?" And I go, "Nope." And he goes, "That's right. You don't have any cents." And I was like, "What? Oh, okay." But it was funny. It was good. If you talked about the Devil's Elixir, they talked about it with you. If you had a green drink or something green, they liked it and they would talk about it. One of the things I thought was really hilarious, and I was with Theme Park Casuals, that walking through, and I asked one of the scare actors, "Where's room 13?" And he says, "It's back over there." And then he told me, "Put some pants on," because I was wearing shorts. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that's one of the good things about that scare zone is the scare actors can talk to you and they can hang out and they can do stuff. Last night they were, doing things with the crowd. They had like, a big little entourage going through scaring, teaching people how to scare or whatever. And then when the band was playing, they played one song and everybody, it was like almost like a mosh pit of everybody dancing around right there in the middle of the street. So it was really, really cool. And there's something about it, especially when the band starts playing, because it just, I mean, it's like we always talk about with Knott's Berry Farm. The entertainment is what makes Knott's Berry Farm, what sets them apart. And this is no different. Once they got the swing band going up there and the scare actors moving around and doing everything with the crowd, it just, that area just becomes the biggest party atmosphere of the whole place.
Mm-hmm. Rules.
I think you're still breaking up a little bit, Bob.
Since I'm breaking up, go ahead.
Where are we at? Are we going to Carnival?
Carnival. Let's
All right,
Carnival.
Carnival is another one of those scare zones where they can interact with you. And I feel like if there's not a lot of people, it makes it really tough, because I saw like groups of the scare actors, of the clowns, kind of wandering and looking for people to scare. And it's just, there's not a lot back there. It's, you're kind of passing through, unless you want to go on a couple of the rides there, like Hang Time, you're just kind of passing through, and there's really no reason to be there unless you happen to go to Mesmer and want to cross over to Goring 20s. So it's kind of a weird spot. And I think that if they could figure out a way to get either another maze or do something with the scare zone there, it might help to bring a little bit of traffic, because it was painful watching the scare actors look around and try to find people last night. And the clowns, I mean, it's obviously creepy, and they've got some really funny special effect, noisemakers and stuff. And they didn't have a chance to really, put their talents to use. So that's the sad part of that scare zone.
Well, and again, these are clowns. You would think that they would want to put fog in this section and really scare people.
Yeah,
And that wasn't the case.
I don't know why they don't have fog everywhere. I mean, at the very least, just for effect, maybe it's not enough to, like the way Ghost Town is, to where it really just blinds you at times, because you can't have that everywhere. But there should be fog crawling around everywhere you go at Scary Farm. That should just be a given for the most part.
I would agree. And then
Brian said it needs something, maybe a show or something out there that pulls people, for a reason to be back there. Because like I said, right now it's, unless you want to do hang time, it's really, you're just passing through. And that's only if you happen to be at one of the areas and trying to get to a certain spot.
So when I went to Forsaken Lake with Andrew and with Maria, they actually were doing the processional. So it really wasn't scary. They had some fog coming out of one area, but there really wasn't. It was almost like the processional is kind of like the way it opens up, with the monsters kind of hovering around one area and then going out to scare everyone. But it wasn't that scary to me, and I was a little disappointed. Now I heard that there is a lot more fog when they're not doing the processional, and it's a lot spookier. But I didn't have that experience when I went there.
I didn't get to go on Thursday to Forsaken Lake, but last night Forsaken Lake was pretty good. But again, it's one of the scare zones that it's, you're crossing over to get to something else. So you're passing through it. It's definitely one to go and check out, because I love the costumes on the scare actors. They do a really good gothic look on everybody, and it's a dark area, and with the fog, it can get very creepy. And when the scare actors are doing, are able to do their work, they do a really good job over there because of the fog. They add the fog, so it makes it super creepy, super hard to, make everything out. And they have a good time. And like I said, for me, it's the theatrics that I love. The costumes and the whole setup of the area is what I like.
And I think that's it for the scare zones. So
basically, they have a few things to work out with some of the scare zones. I think Goring 20s is solid. I'd like to see a little more fog. And Ghost Town is obviously the king of all scare zones. I think Gauntlet really needs to get some fog and some set pieces over there, something to enhance it.
Right. So unfortunately, right now, Dr. Cleaver Returns, the Magnifique, Carnival du Grotesque, the Music Monsters and Mayhem, and the Hanging Uncanceled. I know that Cordy saw Music Monsters and Mayhem. I'm not sure. I can't remember if she said she saw any of the other shows. But unfortunately, we can't really speak from experience about these shows because we weren't actually there to see them. I know that my brother said he saw the Hanging Uncanceled. He was a little disappointed, but he can't remember. It's been several years since he's seen it, obviously, and it's changed. I don't remember everything he said about it, but basically, he thought it could have been better. It's in a whole new venue this year too. But I thought it was going to be packed and really hard to get into. And so far, from the people I've talked to, everyone has been able to get in and see it, and it hasn't been any problems. My only recommendation to everyone is to make sure you check the app.
Definitely check the app for the times, because those are going to be the most accurate. I think there were some published showtime listings that ended up changing, and so some people may have gotten confused or had the wrong times, and I think that's what happened to Bob here. I think they were going for one of the shows, and they were, I think, half an hour off, so they got there right as it was ending instead of when they thought they were going to be getting there ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And Iwani, I just want to bring it up. He asked if they have budget to have scare actors lower upside down on cables like Batman behind people, and they're pulled back up fast. They do stuff like that in some of the mazes. They have them on bungees and different trusses and different cables and stuff like that. So there are some mazes where some of the scare actors will jump down and they're on a bungee, and they'll like bounce right back up away from you. So it's really surprising. Mm-hmm. Very startling. Let's put it that way.
I love the bungee jumpers. They're fun.
Yeah.
They're a great group. I do know that I will be covering some of these shows this Thursday when I go back to check them out. The Hanging Uncanceled obviously is one of them that I want to see because I haven't had a chance to actually see it yet. But I'll be doing that as well as going through some mazes, and I think I'll be hanging out with Andrew Disney again on Thursday. So if you haven't seen the shows like us yet, and you want to see them, definitely come back and check out our streams, because we'll be covering, I'm sure, some of them on future streams that we're going to be doing. So with that, we didn't eat any of that food either. So
no, the only thing I got to try last night was the lemon cake, which was pretty good, except for me it was too much icing that was the sweetness, and it was just like, oh my god, I think I'm going to overload on sugar. But the cake itself was pretty good. It was a good balance when you had the cake and icing, but there was way more icing than cake. So I had to like throw out like a big clump of icing because I was just like, there's no way I'm eating all that. But the flavor was really good. I did like it. And I did have the benefit of thinking I was going to be paying $8 for a slice of cake, and it was only $6. So that was a bonus.
That.
So one thing I did want to bring up was the lantern. So the lanterns that they have out that cause, that activate interactions or some sort of little something or other. I had my lantern on, I thought, most of the time, but it would go out. But I don't know if I have a bad battery. I don't know if I have a weird like the connectors inside it are a little faulty, or if I just kept bumping the button just enough to where it would turn it off. So I don't know what was going on with that. So I don't know if I was activating anything in the mazes when I would get near stuff. And as I'm walking, it's like when you're live streaming, you're paying attention to what you're streaming. You're trying to pay attention where you're walking, trying to think about what's going on. So I wasn't able to pay attention to see if were things happening around me,
Well, and that's the one thing about I think it's a great concept, and I really like the lantern. The problem is, unless you know for exactly where those, interactive to see what happens. And like remember yesterday, you walked over to what looked like a ticket booth. It looked like something would be interactive with that.
Right.
Nothing happened.
Yeah. It looked like there would be a screen that something would, pop up and you'd see something or, whatever.
I definitely feel like they almost need to publish something that says, hey, this is what happens in this area, so you know about it. Because to be honest with you, when you're walking through a maze, if you got that lantern, you're not really, because there's all sorts of things happening in the maze. You don't know, did I activate that or not? It's just
right. Yeah. And I've heard that some of the activations are kind of cheesy, they're not really a big deal. And then some of them are really cool. Like if you saw when I went over to the spider tree, you get over there and lantern turns green, and next thing you know, you hear the like that, and the lights start flickering all over the tree.
That's a great one.
Yeah. I think the best one, though, was over at Jaguar Temple. Did you see that one?
That was awesome when the fire comes up. Oh,
yeah, that's a really cool interaction. Those are the kind of things.
Awesome.
But it was a bummer because I'm trying to do it. Hold the lantern, hold the gimbal, get a good view, and then it was like everything starts going off, and you guys couldn't see. I need to do this one time when I go like with Bob or something. Have okay, you go do the lantern. I'm going to be back here to watch what happens, so that you guys can see, because you don't. It's hard to tell that there's like 6 fire blasts that go up all over the temple, and it just looks really, really cool when you're there. But it was hard to get it in the frame on the live stream and take care of, make sure everything was going through.
I think you did a good job capturing it, though. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, go back to Theme Park Casual's live stream from last night, and you can see it. I'll definitely check it. I'm going to take my lantern on Thursday so that I can try to do that and, go in front of the temple to get the same thing. But I want to find out more about where these interactive zones are.
Yeah, I'm going to research that a little bit. I'm going to research that a little bit. Too. Brian Sevilla points out that in Chilling Chambers, there's a suit of armor that falls towards you, and I believe it's a lantern interaction. So we'll have to try that. And I saw that. I remember seeing the suit of armor, and I was watching for it to fall, but I don't think I had. I think that was on. Yeah, that had to be on Thursday, so I didn't have my lantern with me.
And since we're talking about merch.
Oh yeah, Brian points out if you want the Scary Farm pins, you got to get them at Cordy's Corner, because you won't find them at the Legacy store, which is
really weird. You think that they would have them as well as all the stickers and patches for
you would think the Legacy store would have everything,
right? However, I will tell you, I noticed that there was really no line of people going into the Legacy store. Now, this is later in the evening, but I didn't notice, especially when we went to Waxworks, I didn't see a big, huge line of people trying to go to the Legacy store. So that was kind of nice to see. But the other thing is you can buy the, stuff outside of the Legacy store. And this point that Brian makes, you can also buy the pins outside of the Legacy store at Cordy's Corner. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And maybe some of that stuff, they are keeping it, within the park just to, hey, you need to buy a ticket. So we're not going to give away everything. Legacy store's cool and all, but if you want some of that other merchandise, you're going to have to buy a ticket. I don't know. Like I said, it could be that they want them behind the paywall, and there's that.
Yeah, Iwani said there's a place called Cordy's Corner at Knott's.
Yep, that is named after Cordelia Knott.
There sure is. Yes, Cordelia Knott.
Not Cordy.
But it's cool that it has the name, right? So yeah. But anyhow, so the merch is cool. I do like some of the merch they're selling. I think they have some really neat things to pick up and buy. Although their Spirit jerseys are not quite like the ones at Oogie Boogie Bash, but it's totally different park, different company. But there's some things I really liked. I bought a beanie that says 50th on it, and I like it. I can't wait to wear it when it's cold enough. But by the way, was it pretty? It seemed like it was kind of cool last night, was it?
It was a little cool. I left the park just after 10 o'clock, so it wasn't too late yet, but I had jeans and a t-shirt on, and I was fine. Okay. So I didn't need a sweater or anything at that point.
Yeah, I was feeling a little chilled myself, and I was thinking, oof, I wonder how Casual's doing.
Yeah, no, it was still fine. And that's the thing. It's like, it's weird with Scary Farm. I think for whatever reason, I think because of the hype, the anxiety, everything that's going on, I think your blood is pumping a little bit extra, so you're a little warmer than normal.
All right, very cool. Well, any last thoughts about Knott's Scary Farm for everyone? Theme Park Casual?
I still say, I mean, I haven't been to any of the other haunt events. I haven't been to Howl-O-Scream. I haven't been to HHN. I never went to Dark Harbor at Queen Mary, but Scary Farm for me is just tons of fun. As much as there's the gore and the kind of creepy aspect and stuff like that going on, it's still a lot of fun. And in fact, I was mentioning, I really wish they would do one maze that is free of that gore aspect. Don't bother with all the murderer stuff and the body parts or anything like that. just do moody, cool looking stuff. Do some special effects. Keep it creepy, suspenseful. The jump scares are fine, but let it be something like take Villain's Grove, but make it extra creepy and jump scares. That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see one maze where they kind of just, give me a good, Twilight Zone-y, suspenseful type of maze that doesn't deal with the gore, the murder, and all that kind of stuff. Just do something that's really, really cool and moody.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that I know Cordy and I talked about, and I think you and I, Theme Park Casual, talked about a little bit, is taking some questions. So if you have some questions for us regarding Knott's Scary Farm or anything related to it, throw it in the chat so we can answer those questions. I did want to say, because Brian Sevilla brought up, he says Scary Farm is the best bang for your buck right now, and it really is.
Oh yeah,
for all of these Halloween haunts, because I mean, think about it. For the starting Oogie Boogie Bashes, they were like what, $134 a ticket, and they go all the way up to like $170 something. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Halloween Horror Nights, if you want to go, it's about $9 to $350. For Knott's Scary Farm, it's $65 ticket, but if you do the Frontline Pass, and it's kind of like a VIP thing, it's $199. Well, that comes with Frontline and everything, so the best bang for your buck, plus the hours. And Kaylee was bringing that up too earlier in our chat here. She was saying they really need to extend Oogie Boogie at least another hour, or maybe even further. In fact, I think, did she just say something else right here?
Yeah, she said 1 a.m. like all the other After Dark.
Yeah,
and that's true. I mean, Disney is their after hours events. They've done them till 1 a.m. I mean, why wouldn't you do Oogie Boogie?
Well, I agree, because one of the problems I had, they actually sent me a survey because I went to Oogie Boogie and wanted to know what I thought about it and did I have enough time to complete everything. And while I did get to see most of the villain characters that were a lot of those.
Oh, you're breaking up. We can't hear you, Bob. But yeah, it's strange.
It's just a bummer.
Yeah, you were breaking up through most of that, so get to hear.
Yeah, I was just saying I wish they give you more time to do everything at Oogie Boogie, and I wish it was longer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm afraid that the only reason they don't do longer is because then it would kind of start to reveal that there's not as much to do as you think there is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
well, and Brian said too, Scary Farm gives you something to do without even doing mazes. Unlike, HHN, there's a lot more shows to do. There's just, and they always do a great job of entertaining people. I'm not so sure about the quality of the shows this year for Scary Farm, but still, it's nice that they have other things you can do. Oh, this is the other thing I was going to talk about. When we were there for opening night Thursday,
the
line, right. Well, except for when you and I went on Calico Mine Ride or the Candy Mine Ride, that was ridiculous. But no one was really getting on the rides. And my brother said on Saturday night it was packed, and like it seemed like no one was going to the mazes, but everyone was going on the rides or other areas.
Interesting. Yeah, Ghost Rider still had the entire bottom area full last night. So even on Sunday, it was still, pulling in quite a few people. I didn't notice hang time, but I was only over there, I think, the one time when I went to Carnival, and that was still somewhat early in the evening. So I can't really say if hang time had much of a line, but I don't think Silver Bullet had a line. So
no. Well, you're talking about last night, though, right? Yeah. Gotcha. All right, so I'm going back through the chat here. I don't see any questions specifically from anyone. So
Yeah, Brian was mentioning that they did have a show in the Mystery Lodge area that was kind of like that. That
Your
was
lodge?
that was less than it wasn't a gory, scary necessarily. It was more of a moody kind of thing. So I wish they could get Mystery Lodge working again. I know most people are kind of like, but I really like it.
I know. Well, I think it would be fun to, yeah, I don't know why. They haven't done anything in that place for years, but they need to do something or get rid of it, tear it down, put in that new hypercoaster they teased. Or no, they didn't tease.
Yeah, they didn't tease. That was just rumors all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it was a scary show, Brian says. Okay.
Foolish Mortals asking, how many Nobu necklaces did you see? And I got to tell you, not very many. I think I counted 3 or 4. I think it was 3. The first night that we were there for opening night. Not very many.
Yeah, opening night, I wasn't even paying attention. I don't even think I saw any that I really paid any attention to. Last night, I did see a few, but not many at all. I think maybe a total of 5 the entire time. Because I mean, if you're going to Scary Farm, why do you not want to be scared?
Well, and that's the whole point. You're going there to get
Right.
scared. I mean, if you're really that freaked out and you have to buy the necklace, you know, the thing is, it only protects you outside. It doesn't protect you indoors or at any mazes.
Yeah.
So what's the point of spending $15 on it if you know it's going to only prevent you from getting scared outside but not inside?
Yeah, and you're still going to end up getting scared because there's noises that happen, you know, that are, you know, possibly nowhere even near you, and they still startle you. So kind of pointless.
Exactly. Well, it's funny too because you know, the thing I love, and by the way, Andrew Disney, great sport. He can really scream. Let me tell you. I know you couldn't always hear it on our streams, but he had this loud, shrieking voice. I was like, does that come from Andrew? No way. But you know, it's funny because he ended up scaring me when we were coming out of the depths the first time.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. He went around the corner ahead of Bob and just totally jumped out at him.
Other friends, you're getting scared. Discuss.
Yeah, Iwani says I'd want to find a sitting spot to the side and just watch other people get scared. And we did that a little bit last night in the gauntlet area. I just kind of sat on the bench and was kind of watching. And again, I'm looking forward to getting there on a Friday night when it's a little more crowded. And I'm going to kind of do that. I'm going to kind of hang back and just kind of see how the scares go. So hopefully it'll be more crowded and we'll get some more scares.
Yeah, I will say though. Well, I think one of the other things too is that when you don't have all those teenagers there, it definitely affects things, and they've got the chaperone policy in place, which is great. But not having some of those people yelling and screaming is kind of a something that's missing from Not Scary Farm too, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. Without having the younger set, like those junior high schoolers, the young high schoolers that wander in the little groups that really, get scared and play it up for the monsters. I don't know if they're really getting scared, but they scream, they run around, they try to get away, they hide behind their friends, and the monsters keep coming at them. So yeah, without that, you really lose, part of that vibe that was always there from what I remember way back in the 90s when I was going. You lose some of that atmosphere that's just out in the air of screams and scares and people running and afraid and, all of that going on. So.
All right.
And Brian, I saw people eating at Ghost Town Grub out on the patio area. And I don't know, is that like something separate? Is it that, hey, we can only take, 3 tables, 5 tables at a time? Because I didn't see anybody sitting inside. So I don't know if they just do, a small, they have like, 1 or 2 waiters to take care of people, but you got to get lucky enough to get a table. I don't know. Because yeah, that would be really cool to be sitting there in the fog, having a burger and some coffee or something.
I was really disappointed that there weren't more places to eat or to get food from. Your drink, by the way, if you have a cup or the paper cup plan, you can definitely use that while you're there, which is great.
Yep.
But there really weren't a whole lot of places to go and get food from or eat. And I was a little disappointed. I felt like that was lacking.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't paying much attention to that because I'm usually, I'm doing the treats at that point. So I'm looking, at the bakery, and that was open, so I was fine.
Brian said you need to have a party of 3 or more to sit on the edge outside. So,
oh, interesting. Did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Oh, and that was the other funny thing that I saw is if you go back to my live stream, as soon as we get into Ghost Town and we pass it and we're coming to the saloon, this guy runs in the saloon and says, "Are you open?"
Yeah,
the beer right away. It was the funniest thing. I'm thinking they just opened. This guy's running into the saloon for a beer. I mean, maybe he needed to get a buzz on or something, but I thought that was hilarious. So
yeah. So. Overall, I would say definitely, if as long as you're okay with getting scared, I'd say go to get yourself to Knott's Scary Farm if you can. It is a blast. It's definitely a blast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going back on Thursday, obviously, and then I'm hoping to obviously hit some more of the Halloween haunts, maybe some local things. I will be going to SeaWorld for a Hollow Scream soon, so I'll tell you about that in a moment. But with that, Theme Park Casual, do you want to tell us where you can find, or where we can find you, and tell us when you're streaming again?
You can find me on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Instagram, all of them at Theme Park Casual, where we have news, views, discussion, and live streams for the casual visitor from a former theme park commando. And I will be live next on Saturday. I will be at Disneyland in the evening. I will be hanging out with my buddy Vash Sky. So who knows what we'll be getting into while we're there. We're hoping for some good Halloween Screams fireworks, but we'll be kind of traipsing around the parks and getting into some trouble over there. Scary Farm, I think I will be back probably, I think 2 weeks from today. In fact, let me check my calendar real quick. Yeah, Scary Farm, I will be back on October 8th. And actually, Knott's Berry Farm, that day, I will be doing a live stream earlier in the day for Knott's Berry Farm and Knott's Spooky Farm. And I will be joined by my friend Orange Grove 55. He will be coming to Knott's Berry Farm for the first time in, I think, 30 some odd years. He hasn't been since the early 90s, I think he said.
Yes.
So we're going to be able to check out, what a theme park nerd thinks of Knott's Berry Farm coming into it almost cold. So should be good. Should be good.
Awesome. And everyone, you can find me at Berry Place 28 on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and of course now TikTok. I should be streaming again Wednesday morning at Disneyland, and then Thursday at Knott's Scary Farm. And then on Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 30th of September, my family and I are going to go to SeaWorld. We are going to go check out Hollow Scream. I will hopefully first time going to a haunt. And so we are going to test it out and see how she's doing. And the last thing I want to do is stream, and she's freaking out. So I'm going to test the waters, per se, as you would say, for SeaWorld, and see how it goes. And then hopefully I will be doing a live stream so you can see it. They only have 5 mazes and 5 scare zones at Hollow Scream at SeaWorld. But definitely looking forward to checking out. And if for some reason I'm not able to stream, I will try to do some walkthrough videos of the mazes, like the one I posted of the depths, so you guys can see that as well. But that's my plan for 3 more streams this week, and I hope you guys can join me and Theme Park Casual when we do our streams. And most importantly, even though Cordy couldn't be here, she wanted to say hi. So hi to all of you, and she hopes that everyone's doing well. And we look forward to seeing you in 2 more weeks for our next Park Streamers Hangout. Until then, kids, have a great night, and we'll see you real soon. Good night.
All right. See you, kids.